Hey there, lovely people. It's Lynn Horde here, the Joy Coach, founder of Joy School and creator of the blog Insider Tips to Everyday Joy. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the 3 steps to resolving relationship standoff. A friend of mine called me a couple of weeks ago and she recounted this story to me while we were on the phone. She said, Lynn, last night, my boyfriend and I went out and, I was sharing something with him about some things that were going on for me. And, I was feeling a little bit vulnerable. I was opening up to him and I did that. And then all of a sudden he went off and looked at some shop in the window and just went tootling off and wasn't really very present. And she said to me, and then she's like, oh, I was just trying to open up and it didn't happen. As in he wasn't responding, and then she shut down and she got all defensive, and then he was like, well, what's wrong? And she's like, nothing's wrong, because she didn't really know what to say, and then later on they got home and, he could tell, she could tell that he wasn't really, they got back home and, he could tell that there was something wrong, but she wasn't saying. So then he got all frosty, and then it all got frosty. And then they went to bed. And the next morning, it all felt really weird. And she's like, "Lynn, it just felt all weird." And I was like, "I don't know what to do now." So maybe you've had that experience as well. Maybe it's with a partner, with a friend, or a family member. Things kind of escalate, and you're not really sure why. But all of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, he's acting weird," and then she's acting weird, and then you both start acting weird. And then you don't really know how to come back from that. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So the first thing I said to my friend was that you need to look at the fact that he didn't do anything wrong. So that's the first thing that can really get in the way for us when we're trying to resolve conflict. We feel like the other person's done wrong, that they need to fix something, they need to apologize, and that's normal as humans. Like, we don't necessarily want to admit that we've done something wrong, but in the bigger picture, we probably haven't, okay? So what's happened here is that there was a misunderstanding. So that's the thing. I said to my friend, I was like, look, he hasn't done anything wrong. He has misunderstood what you needed from him in that moment. So the first thing is to recognize actually that this is a misunderstanding. They haven't done something wrong. And taking that perspective allows you to open your mind to look at what other alternatives are going on here. How else can we resolve this situation? What has been going on that I didn't actually see, first of all, because I was too busy saying they've done something wrong. So first of all, it's a misunderstanding. So the second step is to actually, I asked my friend, I was like, so did you let him know that actually you were feeling vulnerable in that moment and sharing something that actually mattered to you, and you were opening up to him, and that you really needed him to, pay attention to you 100%? And she was like, no. No, she's like, no, I didn't say that. And that's normal as well, because the other thing that happens in this second step is we make the assumption that they should know, that they should behave, other people, partner, friend or family, that they should behave the way that we want them to, that they should intuitively know what it is that we need. But it's not the case. Seriously, if you can accept this, that actually you need to communicate far more around what you need and want from people that you're in intimate relationship with, the better off that you will be. So, I said to my friend, how would he have known that was, how would he have known that you needed him to really stop and pay attention to you? Did you give him any signals? Did you verbalize to him something? And she said, no, I didn't tell him, what he needed, what I really needed from him from that time. And what she did instead was actually shut down, of course, and then that spiraled it downwards. So I said to her, okay, so, to recover from this situation, what could you share with him? You can actually go back, even if you've had the disagreement, you can actually go back, and sometimes it's easier because you're not heated in the moment, and you can say to them, look, I know that, yesterday this happened, and you need to really share what is going on for you. What were the feelings? What did you need to share with him in that moment? So what was really happening that she wasn't able to share in that moment was that my friend was opening up. She was making herself feel vulnerable, and she was sharing something with her that really mattered in that moment, what she needed from him was him to pay 100% attention, to, say things back to her that she understood that he was listening. Because at the end of the day, what she wanted to feel in that moment, she wanted to feel heard, and she wanted to feel understood. And that was what was missing. But we can actually create that if we communicate in the moment, this is what I need. I really need you to be listening to me right now and get that I'm sharing something and I'm feeling a bit vulnerable. So I know that that's hard sometimes because we're not taught that that's okay. We're often afraid of vulnerability. But if you are able to do that, that can strengthen your relationship incredibly if you're able to really share with your partner, friend, family member what it is you're feeling, what it is you need from them as well. So that is the second step, taking responsibility for what you need in those moments. So actually sharing, you know what, dude, I'm sharing something with you that's important right now and I need you to pay attention to me. I had a friend the other day, and every time I share something, sometimes he does this thing, he'll check his phone, or he'll just make a random comment about something else. So I said to him the other day, I was like, pal, sometimes I'd really appreciate it if you would make a comment about the things that I'm talking to you about, so that I know that I am being heard and understood and you care about what I'm saying, And he took that on board, and he wasn't doing it on purpose. He's one of those people whose mind goes like all over the place. So it was kind of his natural behavior, but it had an impact on me. So I shared that impact and then asked him, could you possibly do this instead? So it's about it's about communicating with someone to help them understand what's happening with you, so that they know how to adjust their behavior or how you would prefer that they were to respond, so to speak. So the first step, as we talked about, was first of all, taking the perspective that actually, this is a misunderstanding, not that somebody's done something wrong. The second one is to take responsibility about communicating what you need and want in that moment, so that, they actually understand you need something and need a behavior that is different from what they're currently providing for you. And then the third step is, so if you've done that, a really great third step is actually, find yourself a relationship shorthand or a little signal, so that next time that happens and you're in that moment and you're feeling vulnerable and you're like, actually, I really need you to pay attention here and listen and understand what I'm trying to say to you, and so that I can feel supported. So you can have a little word or a little phrase. Like a friend of mine, she and her husband called them the Pop-Tart moments. I don't know where that came from. So now when they're having a little tussle and and she's just like, this is one of those moments where I really need you to pay attention. She's like, darling, this is a Pop-Tart moment. And he's like, oh, right, okay. And so it's like a shorthand, and he really gets it. He's like, oh, okay, it's one of those moments where I really need to be paying attention and not off checking my phone or looking at the sports results or whatever else. And so that's a really fun way. And you know how sometimes, relationship shorthand is a beautiful, intimate thing as well. So it's the third way, the third step there is actually making it fun for you guys. Hey, Sarah Ann. Oh, it's really nice to see you there. It's fun for you guys to actually be able to, bring that up next time. And it makes them, and what's great about that shorthand is it brings some lightheartedness to the moment. So I'll go over those 3 steps again. So today we've been talking about the 3 steps that you can take to resolve like a relationship conflict or a standoff in your relationships. So the first thing is to recognize that people aren't doing something wrong. There is a misunderstanding. When you come from that perspective, it's easier to see how you can start to communicate about what's happening. And that's the second step. The second step is actually communicating what you need and want in those moments. Don't assume that your partner understands you're sharing something and you're feeling really vulnerable, and that you need them to really pay 100% attention to you and not half you and half the TV. So that's the other part, taking responsibility for sharing what it is you need and want. And the third step is, the fun part, is just making a little shorthand, like a shortcut code, so that when that happens again, instead of saying, oh, darling, I'm feeling really vulnerable and I need you to pay attention right now, you can say instead, darling, this is a Pop-Tart moment, so you better be paying attention. Okay, so it's just a little fun thing to make it more lighthearted in the moment. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have, please do share this with your friends and family, or you can click the follow button and you'll get notifications for when I'm on Facebook Live again next. Until next time, be joyful and spread the joy. Take care. Bye for now.